the Middle podcast, the podcast dedicated to the music, movies, and culture of Generation X.
What is up, slackers, and welcome to another episode of the Stuck in the Middle podcast. I am your host, Jason Eck. I got a couple of emails, but one in particular that I'm going to follow up with next week. And from listener Jimmy, who has emailed the show before, asking about the Bon Jovi documentary. I have not watched it as of yet, but I plan to do so. And hopefully I'm going to do that this weekend because not only do I want to check it out, but also Jimmy asked some interesting questions about Bon Jovi. So I think next week might be a spotlight on Bon Jovi episode, and certainly a band that I think is somewhat transcendent into a certain sphere of influence of being without classification. All you can say is they're a rock and roll band, but their history, their background, kind of the bands that they came up with, the era in which they first became superstars is really interesting, and one that I often talk about, which is, of course, the hair metal era. But that is not what tonight is about. That's right. Tonight, I decided it was going to be another interactive kind of episode where I use some other media. And in part because as I was thinking about different topics and scenarios, I wanted to do something that maybe would capture people's attentions in a way more than just my voice. I am still trying to grow this crazy thing, and sometimes I'll look at an episode and go, wow, that didn't hit the way that I maybe thought that it would. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the kind of content that you enjoy, and it's definitely firmly in the let's take a little stroll down memory lane. And as someone who enjoys music, I recognize that all different types of music have value. Now, there are types of music I like more or less. I'll be honest, I don't listen to very often, probably almost never do I put on classical music. Someone can tell me that Bach and Beethoven, Mozart are some of the greats. And in fact, music as we know it wouldn't exist without them. Yet I very rarely find myself going, I really want to listen to a sonata right now. It just doesn't happen. And it doesn't mean that it's not good. So that's just a long roundabout way of me saying, I think that jingles are art. I think jingles are a form of true musical artistry because you are trying to invoke emotion. Yes, it's about a product. Absolutely concede the fact that it is pure marketing, advertising, trying to draw people's attention. And if you make something memorable, there is this off chance that just maybe someone is going to purchase that product because of a catchy jingle. Think about songs that become hits. Some of them aren't really all that deep, but they become these earworms, and you can't help but associate different things with it. That's where when music videos really became a thing in the 80s, music videos became an art form. You're trying to go ahead and sell singles. I mean, that's really what they're doing. They were trying to sell units, and if you look at music videos as being simply advertisements for record sales, that kind of, I think, explains why music videos are not as popular as they once were. Because now how we consume things is very different. How we create content is different. But I just love those old school jingles. So let's jump in to the first set of jingles. This is from the 1970s. And there is a website that's called Write Me a Jingle, dedicated to jingles. And they have these great collections of all these different jingles from all different time periods and for all different types of products. And I believe from all over the world. But many of these are rooted right here in the United States of America. So let's jump in here. And we are going to start, like I said, with the 1970 70s. Here we go. Going to share this here, and we're going to start out with a good old classic. And I think that as soon as you hear it, you're going to go, yeah, that stuck with you all these years later, and why wouldn't it be something that continues? I'm not sure if I've seen an advertisement for this company in quite some time. Mind you, I don't watch a lot of regular network television, and all the streaming platforms have very specifically targeted types of advertisements. So many of them are for prescriptions, like for pharmaceutical drugs. But anyway, tell me what you think of this one.
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Oscar Mayer, the first name in Bologna.
In Bologna. In Bologna. So great. And the little kid, he's out sitting on a little pier, and he's just eating his little sandwich while he's, fishing with his little toy fishing pole. It's like the most adorable thing. But that is a classic jingle, and you can't tell me you don't think of bologna and that jingle. What's really interesting, I didn't know this until, gosh, we were probably dating for a couple of years. My father-in-law, may he rest in peace, he drove the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile at one point. He worked for Oscar Mayer, which is just mind-blowing. It's so interesting to me. But my bologna has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. Now, how many of you have the whole, what's it called? Mandela effect, where it was M-E-Y-E-R. But no, it's M-A-Y-E-R, Oscar Mayer. Good stuff. That is from 1973. And that same ad, if I was born in 74, any of you 70s babies, you've seen that commercial, because it seemed like commercials just stayed on the air for years and years, which I find so interesting, because that advertising agencies were consistently trying to come up with new ways to market these products. But if you had something that's like a hit single. Do you know what I mean? It's a hit single. Why wouldn't you keep using it? It is a famous song at this point. Makes perfect sense to me to continue. But this one, I will admit, I don't really remember as much. So some of you might be like, oh yeah, I remember that. But let's check this out.
This bus for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do.
Oh, I do remember this, but it had different arrangements.
You know it isn't only what you say, it's what you do. For all you do, this bus for you.
This is crazy though. This is 1978, and it's clearly is dressed as Navy. And the airplane is pulling a banner behind it that says, "This bud's for you." That same melody, but with different music accompaniment, I think was used multiple different times, because, the song was "When You Say Budweiser, You've Said It All." But this is written by someone by the name of Steve Carman, who is fondly remembered as the king of the jingle. So we'll have to, at the end of this video, hopefully I remember, go back and take a look at Steve Carman and what other jingles that he did. Now, this next one is great because the video itself, the commercial itself is just such a representation of the 70s, I think. And I hope some of you will go out and watch these and just see that these kind of principles that exist in advertising and marketing today, as far as trying to reach multiple different demographics, was alive and well in the 1970s. It's not something that is unique to this modern era of, I don't want to say pandering, because I don't think that's fair. You're trying to get your product out to the widest appeal possible, because you have millions and millions of people who are potential customers. And here's a product that everyone needs to have.
I am stuck on Band-Aid brand, 'cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
Pipi sumo mommy Band-Aid, mimi tupu why not? 'Cause they hold on tight in that tub and they cling in soapy touch.
Only Band-Aid brand adhesive bandages from Johnson & Johnson have our super stay-on adhesive. You'll notice the difference because it stays on you better than anything else you can buy.
I am stuck on Band-Aids, 'cause Band-Aids stuck on me.
So part of the advertisement has the old metal Band-Aid boxes, which you still can find, right? It's not that it completely has disappeared, but they're typically now just in plain cardboard or plastic containers, where back then they were all metal containers. But the metal containers are all joined together by a Band-Aid and being pulled underwater to show that they're watertight and that they will stay adhered to your body despite moisture. But yeah, I mean, a lot of bathtub stuff going on. Like this one lady is like scrubbing her kid in the bathtub, and there's a couple of twin boys who are also in the bathtub looking straight at the camera. Very The Shining, I gotta be honest. But yeah, I mean, that Band-Aid stuck on me. It's pretty simple. I'm stuck on Band-Aid because my Band-Aid stuck on me. When you're trying to sell that you have the best adhesive bandages in the marketplace, that's a great little jingle. That's great stuff. Yeah, this one I listened to briefly. I'm not going to, well, you know what? It's not for me to say. I'm here simply to present the things as I come across them, because I don't really remember this one either. But you know what? Some of you might, and maybe you really enjoyed it. It's a very long ad, though. So that's what's so curious as well. I think we're so used to, particularly, I talked about the streaming space. It's like, you know, you get 5 seconds in and maybe you can skip it, but then the whole clip itself is oftentimes anywhere from, 30 seconds to 45 seconds, whereas I believe this ad is like a minute.
Grab a bucket and mop. Scrub the bottom and top. There is nothing so clean. That's my burger machine. With a broom and a brush. Clean it up for the rush. Before you open the door. Or to shine on the floor. When we finish one then. Start all over again. Tell me, what does it mean? At McDonald's it's clean. You deserve a break today. So get up and get to McDonald's. McDonald's.
What's also interesting is that it's all men. And this is what, 1971? I mean, I suppose that probably makes a certain amount of sense. It's also so curious because when, at least for many of us, I think some of our first jobs, after school jobs, would have been in fast food. And I feel like at this point, that maybe wasn't as widespread where teens were working those jobs. I don't know. But yeah, it's a bunch of dudes, literally some of them middle-aged guys who are cleaning and getting ready for the opening of McDonald's for every morning. It's very, very curious to me. Just, I guess that is some indication of how times have changed. Oh, wow. This one is actually, in my opinion, a hit song. Like, I swear I heard it on the radio. Well, they probably did play it on the radio as an advertisement. Huh, my little transistor radio.
I'd like to buy the world a home
You know this one.
and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle
This is
doves.
so 70s.
I'd like to teach the world to sing with me. Perfect harmony, perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a home and keep it company. That's the real thing. I'd like to teach the world to sing. Perfect harmony, perfect and I'd like to buy the world a home and keep it company. It's the real thing. What the world wants today.
This was a big hit. And I think they made a couple of different versions, but they kept that song and they simply updated the advertisement itself. But the song itself was like huge. And it says here, throughout the 70s, Coca-Cola was able to capitalize on the peace movement. With the civil unrest and conflict, many people were looking for better ways to connect. And Coca-Cola created a jingle that truly embodied this sentiment. So think about it. You know, there's a lot of buzzwords that go out there nowadays. And, you know, whether it's DEI or corporate responsibility, how do they call it? CRSs. So corporate responsibility system or something like that, where corporations are trying to merge, I guess, a social consciousness that just so happens could potentially move your product, right? It doesn't mean that the sentiment in the 70s, particularly when we know we have wars happening, to capitalize that to sell a couple of sodas, right? I mean, it seems distasteful, but if the sentiment itself is, I guess, sincere, but it's hard to say because we know that there's some ad exec somewhere who's spitballing these different ideas and go, I got it. What if we positioned Coca-Cola as this unifying product and we're going to have a song just like Peter, Paul, and Mary? I mean, I know those conversations happened. So it's like, is it a good message? Of course. And the video representing really worldwide cultures and singing the song and all holding on to a Coke. I mean, it's brilliant advertising and the song is catchy as hell. Now this one, I don't know about you, but my kids have asked me to do this little ditty many, many times throughout their childhood.
Sour beef patty, pickles, lettuce, cheese, and this pickles, now
Pickles, cheese. Oh,
lettuce and onion, sesame, all seed bun.
I think they're describing a big. Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, on the sesame seeds.
Say that again.
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, on the sesame seed bun.
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, onions, pickles, onions on a list.
McDonald's Big Mac, a big sandwich with great big taste that everybody's talking about.
Sesame seed bun, and we forgot the onion.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did say onion.
Sure.
It said onion.
All right.
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, on the sesame seed bun.
McDonald's Big Mac, the great big sandwich with a great big taste.
Lettuce, pickles, cheese, onions.
How do you not get this?
A break today at
I know
McDonald's.
that's the point.
Where your dollar gets a break every day.
Far out. And how much did a Big Mac go for back then? $1. $1. Here's a question I have for you. When's the last time you had a Big Mac? I will admit I have a soft spot for McDonald's. It is absolutely probably not even real meat. Who knows? Or, as the conspiracy theorists say, you're eating people like Soylent Green. I don't think that's the case, but if that's the secret recipe, apparently I really like human because, man, I do love me some, like a quarter pounder with cheese. Ah, mwah. But I can't remember the last time I've actually had a Big Mac. Kind of want to have one now. But that 12 beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, that is legendary. And I remember being a kid, and I was like the people in the advertisement, right? I probably stumbled on it a few times, but once you have it, that is locked in your memory forever. Forever. Oh, wow. So this one is so interesting because the lead actor in this advertisement is in a cult classic horror movie.
I drink Dr. Pepper, don't you see? 'Cause it's the perfect taste for me. That original taste, you know, is making peppers everywhere I go. There's boating peppers, toting peppers, cooking peppers, good-looking peppers. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Us peppers are an interesting breed. An original taste is what we need. Ask any pepper and he'll say, only Dr. Pepper tastes that way. There's carrying peppers, marrying peppers, diet peppers, quiet peppers. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? There's saluting peppers, tooting peppers. I'm a pepper man. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Be a pepper, dream Dr. Pepper. Aye, aye. Be a pepper, dream Dr. Pepper. Yes, sir. Be a pepper.
I did not remember that. So all of a sudden, they're dancing on a ship. So, of course, I'm talking about David Naughton, who was the lead in American Werewolf in London, a cult classic horror film. But here he was being the pepper guy. And they're on this like cruise ship, and all of a sudden Popeye's there. And Popeye is, of course, animated, and he starts dancing along with everyone else. I don't remember that at all. And I swear I must have seen that advertisement. Maybe they did different versions of it, but wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? I mean, that was like a little bit of an earworm that would get stuck in your head. 1977. And I must say, if I'm not drinking a Coke, I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper. This one, honestly, I didn't remember until I heard it. I hit play and went, wow, I do remember that. So check this out.
Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something.
This one goes on a little bit long, and it's very redundant. It's all just about people going about things that they don't particularly enjoy. Going to work. This one guy can't open a jar. He's bummed out, but you know, he loves Sara Lee, and they're all eating their tasty little treats. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm just looking at the product line because they have a lot. It appears that they also were typically kosher, but then they stopped being a kosher facility sometime around 2009, but then they're back to being a kosher baker and food production company, which is very interesting to me. But amongst their brands, Ballpark Franks, the hot dogs, Brine Foods, Emerald. So you remember Emerald, the chef, his company is a subsidiary. Hillshire Farms remembers, Jimmy Dean, pork sausages and meats, Sara Lee Bakery, of course, condiments, deli cheese, deli meats, and frozen sweets. And let's see, a bunch of other like coffee brands, like Sensio, the coffee machine and pods, kind of a far trailing competitor to like the Keurig, but Anyway, yeah, nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. It's kind of an interesting way to put that. And then the last one for the 1970s. Let's check this out here. This one is also an unfortunate earworm. So I apologize in advance.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Cats are singing the praises of Meow Mix cat food, a tasty combination of the 3 flavors cats love: tuna, liver, and chicken, each a separate bite-sized morsel. So a cat gets a mouthful of variety every time he opens his mouth.
Meow.
Hey, cat, one more time.
Meow, 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 meow. I mean, it just gets stuck in your head. I mean, it really does. And I remember being a kid, just being like, meow, 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 meow. I mean, it must have been obnoxious for everyone. And I remember when we got a cat sometime in the 80s, and it was like singing to the cat, meow, 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 meow. Oh. Anyway, moving on to the 1980s. So what do we have here? Here we go. And it's funny is the first one that pops up, I played it earlier and I saw like my wife's head kind of pop up. Like, wait a minute. I mean, I think if they still have advertisements, I swear they still use this jingle. It is a classic. It is one of those things that I feel as though it's just, I guess, a strange product line, but it's still alive and kicking. And you can find them pretty much anywhere on Earth.
Get your steel shined up, grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya. Take a sniff, pull it out. The taste is gonna move you when you pop it in your mouth. Juicy fruit is gonna move ya. It juices soft, it gets right to ya. Juicy fruit, the taste is gonna move ya.
The taste is gonna move ya. I mean, it's so good and so catchy. But I know as a kid, like, that was not the gum I wanted, right? Which, I mean, it had more flavor from the stupid shit that I would get. So I would get like, Bazooka Joe, right? You'd get Bazooka, or you'd get Hubba Bubba, or Big League Chew, right? But come on, what a great jingle. But just keep that in mind, because that company has a couple of classic jingles, and another one will be up soon. This next one, this was written by Michael Levine and Ken Schuldman, and has been redone several times throughout history. And this jingle was cited in a University of Cincinnati study as one of the top 10 earworms. In other words, pieces of music that inevitably get stuck in people's heads. Thank you for the definition of an earworm. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. That chocolate crispy taste is gonna make your day. And wherever you go, you hear the people say, give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that. Break me off a piece of that. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Is that?
That Kit Kat bar. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Sorry, I'm. That looks just like Larry Bird. Larry Bird's ad? No, it's not. Never mind. There was like this one angle that this big jacked dude that looks to be on a basketball court kind of thing. And I'm like, is that Larry Bird in this Kit Kat commercial? Anyway, it is in fact not Larry Bird. Anyway, completely random. That I thought that it was. But give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, that's been used over and over and over again, but it really is a classic. Now, this next one doesn't give a time, and I don't remember this in Connecticut growing up, but I know the ad because they use this jingle still.
800 and come on.
Like, that started in the 80s? I had no idea. But yeah, the Empire jingle, short, sweet, to the point. Yeah. No, now this next one, I will legitimately say, just as a song, as a legacy, a generational song that I remember singing this with my kids once again. And it's really unfortunate that the company itself has had a challenge because of the internet and online commerce like Amazon and stuff like that, because this is our childhood.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz!
I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Hold on a second.
Yay, boy.
That is Jaleel White. Is that Jaleel White? Hold on a second. We're definitely, this is not like a Larry Bird situation. I'm telling you, this is him. Holy cow. Let's see here. Early career. No, I'm telling you. This is him. Yep, he started in preschool. He got to start on TV commercials at age 3, and a notable commercial was for the Jell-O pudding pop. Oh boy, you don't want to be associated with that guy. But yeah, let's see. Jaleel White, Toys R Us. Yep, there it is. Jenny Lewis, Lindsay Price, and Jaleel White star in this Toys R Us commercial from 1984. Oh, he's another one? Because this one says 1982. So maybe he did a couple of them. Anyway, I knew I was not completely crazy, but that is such a classic tune. And I remember the first time going to Toys R Us with my kids. Because they had Babies R Us, and then you then go to Toys R Us, and just singing that song as we were like driving into the parking lot. Because it's timeless. It's such a great jingle. And then, of course, there was Jeffrey, the giraffe. I think they had a whole family of giraffes, didn't they? Didn't Jeffrey have a wife and like a kid? Okay, so this one I didn't think I was going to remember, and then I played it. So some of these I did check out first.
Looking my best, feeling my best, doing my best. I'm at my best. I'm at my best with Maybelline.
Doesn't that sound like the opening of a sitcom? Like, isn't it like the start of like Laverne and Shirley? It sounds like the same people doing it, even like the same singer, or like the start of not Mary Tyler Moore, Valerie. Like, oh my gosh, or that girl from the 60s. It's so crazy because the ad itself is very much like all these different women from different backgrounds, but they're all looking their best with Maybelline. But it's really short, sweet, and to the point. There is like a cut after the song itself, and then there's like a kind of a voiceover piece, less interesting. So, and now they were able to go ahead and move into a different campaign, right? Maybe it's Maybelline, right? This one, great toy, and I didn't really remember the song.
Go for it, red. Go for it, black. Go for it.
Get off my back.
Connect 4, got 3 in a row. Go for one more. Go for it.
Too late, Joe.
Connect 4.
Go for the fun of Connect 4. 4 in a row win.
Go for the bottom and go for the top. Watch for the block.
Forget it. You're stopped.
Go for the glory. Go for the star. Go for it.
I win.
Connect 4. Go for it.
Yeah.
Connect 4.
Nice. Go for it. Connect 4. I used to love that stupid game. Oh my gosh. And then when like my kids were little, we played it all the time. It's just so fun. And it's like such a simple competition, but, you know, makes you think and strategize. It's really a great game for kids. But the first time I listened to it, I think I was getting distracted. It might have been like my daughter got home or something. But now that I listened to it again, I'm like, oh, yeah, I do kind of remember that. So I mentioned earlier Juicy Fruit, but another brand from the same company gave us this bad boy.
No little cinnamon gum freshens breath longer than Big Red.
So kiss a little longer, laugh a little longer, stay close a little longer with Big Red. That Big Red freshness has right through it. Your fresh breath goes on and on. While you chew it, say goodbye a little longer, make it last a little longer. Give your breath long-lasting freshness with Big Red.
Yeah, dude. So of that, what is that company? Is that Wrigley? Yeah, it's Wrigley, right? Because it's Wrigley's Spearmint, Wrigley's Juicy Fruit, Wrigley's Big Red. Is the company still as a whole still Wrigley, or has it been purchased by like 15 different companies at this point and it falls under some multinational creep zone? No, it is. Yep, it was purchased by Mars. So it is the Mars Wrigley Confectionery. Let's see. Revenue, $5.389 billion in 2007. Net income of just under $1 billion. Wrigley's is wholly owned by Mars Incorporated, and along with Mars chocolate bars and other candy products, makes up the Mars Wrigley Confectionery. So the brands are, of course, Juicy Fruit, Spearmint, Double Mint, Freedent, Big Red. Oh, they own Hubba Bubba, Extra, Winterfresh, Orbit, Eclipse, and Five. Interesting. They have multiple brands in Canada, and then in Plymouth in the UK, they have Airwaves. They do the distribution on Altoids. Tunes. What's Tunes? It's a brand of lozenge. Rondo, a mint-flavored candy brand. And Lockets. Lockets is a confectionery by the Wrigley Company in the UK and Czech Republic. They're sold as medicated supplement to help nasal. Oh, they're basically Ludens for the UK and the Czech Republic. So anyway, that Big Red one, man, whoever was doing the advertising for Wrigley's between Spearmint and Juicy Fruit, Big Red, good stuff. Because didn't they have one for Double Mint, double mint gum, right? Oh boy, this bad boy. I remember my aunt or aunts, maybe my mom and my aunts, using this product particularly in the summertime, right along with singing the jingle while they were using it.
We wear short shorts. If you dare wear short shorts, Nair for short shorts.
The cotton test proves Nair leaves legs smoother days longer than shaving. Now Nair Bikini Kit for a sleek bikini line.
Bikini line, good stuff. As it says here, you'll agree that the lyrics of this particular jingle have been parodied more than a few times in pop culture over the years. I would say that is very, very... I guess it's kind of interesting to consider even how, I don't know, I don't want to call it vanity, but that was definitely pushing some limits too. Because if you look at the commercial. Anyway, the next one... I don't really remember this one. Okay, so this company, this fast food restaurant chain, ended up having a very famous commercial that came out just a couple of years later. This was the prior campaign.
This has the taste. And triple. Hamburgers fresh, not frozen. We have the taste.
Great chili.
The others have their slogans. Wendy's makes them fresh each day. Serves them up to you hot off the grill.
256 ways.
The way a good restaurant will. We have the taste.
Thick, frosty.
Wendy's has the taste. Wendy's. Both
The Fixin's Bar was the coolest frickin' thing. And I don't understand, other than the fact that people are awful in the modern era. Maybe people would take too much and they became cost conscious. But man, you could just fix your burger the way that you wanted, even in a fast food joint. You know what I mean? Like if you went through the drive-thru, you got like the classic, you know, if you get a classic single, it's going to be, you know, cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, whatever, mayonnaise, because I think it's always mayonnaise on a Wendy's burger. But man, the Fixin's Bar, you could put on some salsa and stuff. I mean, that was great stuff. Kind of a bummer that you can't do that anymore. And you know who else had the Fixin's Bar? Roy Rogers. And I will die on this hill. Roy Rogers had one of the absolute best burgers. I don't know how they couldn't compete or why they didn't try to compete. Their food was so good. Oh, could go for some Roy Rogers right now. I remember kind of one of the last ones that was still in existence was I-84 in Sturbridge area. Used to stop there my way back, like when I would head home to Connecticut. Oh, man. Oh, now I'm just thinking about Roy Rogers Burgers. And we had one in the mall in Meriden. It was called the Meriden Square at the time. I think it has a different name now. Sorry, folks back home. You can correct me what it's called. Man, I loved that place. So the last jingle for tonight, before we end this episode, is one that they mistakenly attribute to a band, one that I would say is my favorite band, but they did not actually perform the jingle itself. They did in concert as a goof, but they weren't the ones who actually recorded it for this advertisement. This is a beautiful song.
Sweet dreams you can't resist. N-E-S-T-L-E-S. A dream as sweet as this. N-E-S-T-L-E-S. Creamy white, dreamy white. Nestle makes the very best. N-E-S-T-L-E-S. Sweet dreams you can't resist.
So, obviously, for those who don't know, Faith No More, during the Real Thing tour, would perform that song. And I think part of it was, I can imagine Mike Patton going, these folks who recorded this were recording it like they were recording a meaningful, deep, moving number. Like they didn't half-ass it. They went all in. They sold it as though it were a love ballad. Everyone was locked in to really create this ambiance and this tone because it was Nestle's, I think, first white chocolate with almonds, by the way. And it turns out the product itself wasn't super popular, but man, oh man, that is a great song. Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, N-E-S-T-L-E-S. Oh, creamy white, dreamy white. It's so good. And I remember Mike Patton was singing it with full voice, with absolute sincerity. Yes, there's a tongue-in-cheek nature to it, but at the same time, the performance was, no, I'm singing this song in the meaningful way in which it was performed for that advertisement. It's good stuff. So, those are some of the jingles from the 70s and the 80s. And legitimately, I think that as creations, as artistic endeavors, some of them are like legit good little pop songs that are meant to sell a product. And Toys R Us Kid, that is a snapshot of my childhood to hear that song. The Nestle song, I mean, like I said, it's pretty awesome. Big Red, Kit Kat, give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. I mean, all of these things were purposely, but also very professionally crafted to evoke an emotion. But I don't think anyone who is writing a jingle back in the 70s or the 80s would have anticipated the staying power, because they were probably like, okay, going to work on this campaign. We're going to do this jingle. We're going to do this song. And then it's going to be gone into the ether after that whole commercial cycle ends. Now, I mean, TV had already been around for quite some time, going back to, technically, I guess, the 40s. You had radio advertisements, but by the time you get to like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, kind of what we consider like this, overtly commercialized state of things in the capitalist world in which we live in, the medium of television, I think, was still not untapped, but just starting to become fully realized as an opportunity to really push, I don't want to say it this way, but subtle forms of hypnosis and I guess it's subliminal messaging. Not that propaganda and social engineering hasn't always been a thing. It's just that when you think about like the 30s and the 40s, a lot of the propaganda, even for a product, was meant to bolster the war effort, right? It had some kind of, at least superficially, or maybe even meant to be deep, a sense of national pride or patriotism, or if you're purchasing this product, you're actually keeping people employed. I think of my grandmother, who before the war, World War II, didn't work. But when, as they put it, when all the boys went off to fight, the work still needed to be done. So my grandmother was a riveter. That normally wasn't a job that she necessarily would have been doing, except for the war effort, right? So now you fast forward, and all of these products, they're doing nothing but trying to build value for their product. And you start to see, particularly in the 80s, you start seeing the buyouts, the mergers, the acquisitions, and things are really starting to blow up on Wall Street. And you have to go ahead and sell units. I mean, that's what it is. It's selling units of your product. Sell, 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 sell. How are you going to get people invested and interested in your product? Give them a catchy jingle. Give them something to remember so that when they're in the store and they walk by and they look and they go, oh yeah, Kit Kat, break me off, please. Kit Kat. I'm going to grab a Kit Kat today. Right? Or other products. I mean, I go back and I think about like Alka-Seltzer. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Oh man, I feel a little bit of an upset stomach. Oh, Alka-Seltzer. That'll do it. I mean, it's all so, it's both subtle, but also just blatant. It's like bludgeoning you, obvious. But at the time, I don't know, were people as acutely aware of the kind of crass commercialism that was happening? I'm sure there were. But to see it and hear it like this, but also to have like fond memories of a jingle. Oh boy. I mean, unintended consequences to go, oh, I remember fondly that advertisement from my youth. I used to sing that song all the time. What a weird thing to be nostalgic about, to be a little sentimental about. Man, that Toys R Us one, that really is sentimental. Like that just hits you right in the feels. It makes you just think about Christmas morning when you're a little kid. So anyway, what are some of your favorite jingles? What are some of the ones that maybe didn't get covered in this? Because this in a lot of ways was like a best of. Like I said, it's from a website that is dedicated to jingles. WriteMeAJingle.com, and there's a bunch of different blog posts about all different types of jingles throughout the years. And yeah, it's pretty right. Oh, you know what? I'm laughing at myself now. So they got me to go to their website. And I didn't even realize that it's actually literally a company that is selling themselves as jingle writers. How it works. Get your jingle in 3 easy steps. Learn your brand, your jingle demo, and the final product. Here's the team. Based in South Florida, Write Me a Jingle's diverse blend of talented writers, producers, performers. Hey, you're getting look, it's not like this is millions upon millions of listeners, but you know what? If you need a jingle, apparently you could go to writemeajingle.com, and you have Marjorie Gomez, who's the founder, chief writer, and producer, and Robbie Campbell, founder and creative director, who is a Berklee College of Music grad right here in the Boston area. He studied jingle writing and production. I mean, it's brilliant. Robbie learned from the master, most epic jingle writer on earth, John D. Aldrich. Who is John D. Aldrich? Let's find out, shall we? He's professor in the songwriting department at the Berklee College of Music. I'm not seeing this level of fame that he has been granted by his student here. I would be curious to know what are some of his credits. Let's see, does it say here on the John Aldrich page at Berklee College of Music? For media inquiries, I'm like ready to call this guy. Hey, bro. Let's see. Oh, wow, you can do. Reach out. Huh. Be like, dude, come talk about jingles on my podcast. Courses taught, jingle writing, the business of songwriting, singer-songwriter workshop, and directed study in songwriting. He has performances on television shows like Touched by an Angel, General Hospital, All My Children, The Jamie Foxx Show, The Young and the Restless, and Beverly Hills 90210. Well, that's really interesting. So Write Me a Jingle is actually an advertisement that does blog posts about advertisements that gets people like me to go ahead and go down this little rabbit hole, find their page, and go, hey, cool. It's brilliant. I mean, it's an ad within an ad within an ad. This is a very meta episode, and that's not even what I planned. So what did you think of it? Did you like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Should I have a separate jingle, or do you like the opening song? Should I change it? Get something really jingly and jangly? I don't know, the Stuck in the Middle song? Anyway, how do you let me know? You can email me at stuckinthemiddlepod@yahoo.com. You can find me on Instagram, X, and YouTube at StuckPodX. Head on over to the Facebook page, Stuck in the Middle, a Gen X podcast. Please like, comment, share, leave 5-star reviews, and most importantly, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you would, and it will just take a second, if you are on any of the social media platforms, I ask you, please, just go and give a like or a follow on the social media as well, because I do post the podcasts themselves to these different platforms. And again, all of it is about going higher in the algorithm. So just take a moment, if you would, out of your day. I'd really appreciate it to just click some of those social media links. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it. So until next time, later, slackers.